What's up, YouTube scientists? I was taking a walk this morning and I thought about sharing something I've been doing for a while that I think perhaps could be useful to you, and that is sometimes taking off my glasses. So, I wear glasses. If you see my other stream, I'm usually wearing them. I have a bit nearsighted. I think I have a little bit of what they call stigmatism, something like that. A funny story. So I learned how to read Chinese, Japanese, Korean. When I learned how to read these East Asian languages, my vision got worse because I spent a lot of time with these things glued to my face. Um, so that's to say, let's talk about eye health and some things you could do to gain powers. So I have two headings here. First one is fitness bro science. So the first point I want to make here is you have a lot of people saying various things about how vitamin D, getting sunlight, is good for you, and then also looking at different distances. So when people talk about how something is harmful for your vision, they might talk about blue light and all these things. But I think common sense could tell us if you're like staring at a screen, like here's a metronome. Let's pretend I'm fixated on rhythms and I'm just sitting here staring at this metronome. Let's turn it on. I'm just fixated on those beats. Beats, 3 beats. It's a waltz. So if I'm doing that and looking at a screen for a long time, could hurt my eyes because I don't have variation and I'm blasting artificial light into my face. Now, fortunately, this metronome has a dark theme. I think one of those dark themes could be helpful for these things. But if you have a phone and you're like reading Wikipedia and getting all the facts or something, and you're doing that for hours and hours a day, and then after that you're just looking at the different corners of your room, that's probably not going to be very good for you. So my fitness bro science note here is just taking off your glasses, relaxing your eyes, and looking at different distances is good. And probably this applies regardless if you're wearing glasses or not. But I found myself being a glasses wearer. If I like take off my glasses and go walk around, I could feel good. Another thing I learned from one of these Asian airplane handout things once when I was visiting Asia was just like some simple exercise to refresh. So it's like you cup your hands, you could just put them over your eyes, and it feels nice. So if you're like giving up on your work and like just going down on your desk, if you just take a moment, relax your eyes in that way, it could feel good and it's free. So cool thing to do. The second point I wanted to bring up, I didn't put it under the fitness so much as just some general points. So in a lot of these business book type things, they'll talk about how just some variation could be helpful for productivity. So one of the characteristics of a lot of general work nowadays is it could be very repetitive. Maybe you do the same data entry at the same form every day. You do the same procedure. You build a sandwich in the same way. So oftentimes by mixing things up, then we could keep things spicy. Some variation could help us out. And I don't have the data on hand, but a number of type business productivity sort of books that I've looked at have mentioned that something like maybe you rotate the desks in an office, you hang up some decorations, you have people move or in some way. So, of course, if you do this all the time, you can't get established in any kind of routine, and that'll hurt productivity, I would guess. But sometimes you just change things up. It could be very helpful. So I'll give an example of how not wearing glasses could help. So, for example, with studying East Asian languages, one thing that I got really hooked on was studying the characters. I would like copy the characters and write the characters every day, always looking up words for characters I didn't know. And this is fine sometimes, right? I think if you want to become proficient in using Chinese or Japanese, you're going to have to do that. But I did this to the detriment of practicing like listening and speaking and those sorts of activities. Now, if suddenly I take off my glasses and I have to put my face like super close to a screen in order to see the characters at all. It becomes very difficult to do this one particular activity that maybe I was hammering down on, overemphasizing too much. Taking off my glasses or something will encourage me to step back, take a break, help my eye health, and also become more well-rounded or generally skilled in what I'm doing. So with the Asian languages, for example, I could take off my glasses, listen to some audio, and go get some exercise, walk around, or do something. I could talk with people. All sorts of things I could do that don't involve straining my eyes that could help. So I give this example from studying foreign languages, but you could see how for all sorts of areas this could apply. I'll give you another example. So if you're learning computer programming, coding type stuff, you've probably heard from some experienced person that using a pencil and paper or a whiteboard, something like that, could be a very helpful problem or helpful way for solving a problem. So a lot of the times, beginners especially, getting fixated on some problem, getting frustrated by something, will just sit there and they'll look at the screen and they'll wonder why it's not working. I'll say this too for people, maybe you're trying to write a blog, correct an essay, you got to write a 10-page essay for school or something. Then some people will get locked in this thing where they're literally just looking at a screen and they're frustrated because they're not able to get what they want done. Now, if you take off your glasses, you stop trying to narrow in, focus, and stare at that radiation emitter, and you think instead, all right, I'm actually going to use my pen and paper. I'm going to make an outline. I'm going to cross out stuff and do all these things. Or maybe you're even just doing this orally. You have a friend, family member, someone who's patient that's willing to listen, and you're willing to just talk through what you're going to do and then go do it, stepping it away and not hyper-focusing your vision on, did I spell this word right? Is this the right word choice here? And taking a broader perspective of things could be very, very helpful. And with that, let's see. Oh yeah, okay, so I have two more points here. One of the other ones, these are all related, was that so when you take off your glasses, depending how bad your vision is, you're going to face new difficulties. Now, this isn't always bad. I don't recommend, don't be dangerous and just say, Alan said, don't wear glasses all the time, so I'm just going to go drive without my glasses. Don't be dangerous. But if there's some activity that you're doing where you might not immediately need your glasses, then you could try taking them off, and then you might find that the new difficulties that are presented to you might be helpful in you to learn what you're doing better. So just more examples, like suppose you're always doing cooking, but when you cook, you're always very reliant on recipes, following them exactly. Well, you could use some Chinese wisdom and say, oh no, no, I don't need the recipe now. I could actually just approximate and sort of see the correct quantity of the different ingredients that I want to use, and then I could try to cook that way, and then I could taste it, and I could say, is that what I was going for? So if you're used to wearing your glasses, looking at the numbers, measuring, and doing it that way, maybe taking a step back and giving yourself a handicap in a way. You can't see as well, but just because you can't see as well temporarily for this one activity, does that mean that your cooking will be worse? And I think that you might be pleasantly surprised that actually it's very fun, educational, you learn a lot, and overall it's good. So that might be something cool to do. Right, and then the last point I have here is by taking off your glasses, you could help fight myopia, more in the symbolic sense of being just very constrained about the one little thing that you're looking at. So, like I mentioned, computer programming, because that's one of the things that I've done and I still do. So if you're just focused on your computer, just one program, all these little bugs, these one thing, and you're sitting there and you're spending hours and hours a day just trying to solve a particular domain, a particular sort of problems, you might miss out on big changes. Like, oh, I was focusing on developing, iOS apps in this particular way, But then lo and behold, you didn't even realize that the industry has moved beyond that. Actually, this is not a very in-demand skill anymore. Or you're sitting there focusing, ignoring all your friends to do your studies, to work on solving some computer problems, and then before you know it, all your friends graduate and you're left alone, and you have some technical knowledge, but so does the person down the street who didn't go to school. So then what was the point of going to school if you were just going there for the knowledge? Sure, you got it, but then other people could get that knowledge too for free, and you have sacrificed a big opportunity in order to do so. So with that being said, I think that concludes this reflection, rant, whatever you want to call it, about how, just stepping back, taking off your glasses, figuratively. So think about, like, what are the things I just take for granted, things that I will do because I just assume that's part of me. Wearing glasses, a lot of people, they wear glasses so often. If they weren't wearing their glasses, they would surprise people. But you could take off your glasses and wonder, do I really need to wear these glasses all the time? What would happen if I didn't? Maybe after work I just take a walk, and for this walk I don't wear my glasses. And you might find out a lot by doing it, and it would probably be good for your eye health as well. So, not a doctor, not medical advice, just sharing some practical knowledge that has been helpful to me and that I plan on continue doing. And I hope many of you found this video interesting and or useful. Thank you very much for stopping by.